Every Legendary game has that one weapon, the one that doesn't just destroy your enemies. It defines the entire experience. When it comes to the history of first-person shooters, there is one weapon that stands above the rest. It's chunky, it's industrial, and it's responsible for more accidental discoveries than almost any other piece of code in gaming history. This weapon doesn't just shoot explosive rounds. It taught us how to fly. For our first episode of what makes this weapon great, we're checking out the legendary rocket launcher from Quake. All sources used for this video will be linked down in the description below. Like, sub, do all the YouTube stuff. It is greatly appreciated. Let's get into it. In the original Quake, the rocket launcher is your main workhorse. It's the problem solver. Here are the stats. Damage. A direct hit deals roughly 100 to 120 damage. There is a luck modifier in play that creates this range. This was eventually changed by a Quake World server mod called KTX, or Combat Teams Extreme, removing the RNG nature of the rocket direct hit damage and making it a flat 110. Regardless, in a game where most enemies have around that much health, it's a one-shot machine for lower-tiered monsters. Projectile speed. Quake has a units measurement not mapped to real-world measurements. For reference, the size of a player is a box measuring 32 by 32 by 48 units. The player's max movement speed without movement tech is 320 units per second. Rockets travel at 1,000 units per second. The rocket launcher was made to be faster than the one from Doom, its prior first-person shooter title to Quake, to make it cooler. And yeah, it's pretty cool in my opinion. This immediately introduces a skill gap, especially in multiplayer where predicting an opponent's movement and leading with your rocket projectile can really make a difference. Splash damage. This is the secret sauce. The explosion has a radius of 160 units. Even if you miss the target, if you hit the floor at your target's feet, they take anywhere between 40 to 120 damage. Additional stats. The rocket launcher fires a rocket every 800 milliseconds. Objects that are hit directly are immune to splash damage. Rocket projectiles are 0 by 0 by 0 units, which is the same with nails and grenades in Quake. And rockets disappear after 5 seconds if they haven't hit anything. In the combat triangle of Quake, the rocket launcher is your mid to long range powerhouse. It's good at bouncing opponents, setting them up for the next shot, spamming choke point areas, acting as an area of denial tool with rocket spam, as well as advanced movement in the form of rocket jumps. More on that later. Unlike the rocket launchers in modern games that feel slow and clunky, the Quake rocket launcher is extremely fast and nimble. You can fire it almost as fast as you can click, creating tense, explosive combat action. The only thing that keeps this weapon from being broken is self-damage. If you're too close to the explosion, you're going to take damage. It forces you to respect the weapon's power, turning every close quarters fight into a gambling game of who has more health or armor. Okay, let's look at this thing. It's not pretty. It's essentially just a metal tube with a couple handles. It looks like it was welded together in a dark basement by someone who really hates ogres. That said, it has a unique silhouette when placed among Quake's weapon list, which is important. There were strict polygon limits for the Quake engine back in 1996, and limitations in games always inspire creativity. It's such a classic and memorable design that we've seen modern renditions of it in Team Fortress 2, as well as Quake Champions. Also, listen to this. That thump is legendary. It's a heavy, compressed sound that tells your brain something awesome just happened. And the explosion? It's crunchy. It's not a clean cinematic boom. The blast is raw, lo-fi explosion that sounds like it's tearing the game world apart. When you fire this weapon, the screen doesn't just shake, the world reacts. The smoke trails left behind by the rockets weren't just a cool visual in 1996. They were a technical achievement. They gave the weapon a sense of physicality, especially considering you're no longer shooting a sprite. The rocket is an actual 3D model flying through 3D space. You weren't just clicking on pixels, you were sending a physical object through a 3D space. Now we get to the part that makes this weapon great, and not just good. We have to talk about rocket jumping. In Doom, rockets were essentially 2D sprites moving on a flat plane, and it actually had a similar mechanic called wall boosting, shooting a rocket at a nearby wall to propel yourself. But Quake was a true 3D engine with a physics system that calculated knockback, and rocket jumping was not intentionally designed. It was a bug. Who or when rocket jumping was discovered is unknown. One story involves designer Tim Willits and programmer John Cash playing Deathmatch, and Cash discovering it in a desperate moment. Designer John Romero says it was discovered after the game was released. Demo files showing off these amazing aerial feats, creating instant panic within the team with the concern of levels being broken. Regardless, players realized that the explosion didn't just deal damage, it applied force. If you jump and shoot at your feet simultaneously, that force is added to your upward momentum. And you can chain them off walls so long as you have enough health and armor. Suddenly, the rocket launcher wasn't just a weapon, it was a navigation tool. It allowed players to skip entire sections of maps and reach heights the developers never intended. This glitch became a feature, and it's the reason the Quake rocket launcher is the most important weapon in first-person shooter history. It added a third dimension to the gameplay. The 3D physics also allowed for the mid-air, because you can aim up and down. Hitting a target that is flying through the air requires you to calculate speed, trajectory, and timing in a way no game had ever asked you to do before. It's one of the most satisfying feelings in all of gaming. There are full-length videos that feature mid-air shots, given the slow motion B-roll treatment, which is extremely satisfying to watch. So, what makes the Quake rocket launcher great? It's the perfect blend of power and utility. It's easy to pick up and blow stuff up, but it has a skill ceiling that goes beyond the roof. It's a weapon that defines its game and influenced every single shooter that came after it, from Team Fortress 2 to Overwatch. No joke, the Quake 1 rocket launcher was so influential. There was a period of time where if a game had a rocket launcher, you had to check if you could rocket jump with it. Without the original, the first-person shooter genre would be a lot more grounded, and to be honest, a lot more boring. What do you think of the Quake rocket launcher? What was it like the first time you successfully pulled a rocket jump? And do you have a mid-air story that came in at the most clutch moment during a sweaty online match? Let me know down in the comments below. Also, stay tuned because next time we might be looking at something a bit more super. If you enjoyed this first episode of what makes this weapon great, hit that like button, share it with friends, and subscribe for more Grit Gaming content. And if you're looking for more, check out this recommended video right here. Thanks for watching. Catch you in the next one.